Mark Remaiden, my husband and I own a herd home on Eastport Road in the Waikato. I'm currently not actively involved on a daily basis with the farm, having off-farm employment. Previously milked with my husband full-time for 8 years.
I'm Anthony Maiden and I am the farm owner and farm worker. Milking 170 cows on 58 hectares using a herd home 365 days a year.
Yeah. There's so many things in farming that you can't control. I can't control the payout, I can't really control the weather, but by putting in a herd home we have been able to, at least to some extent, control the weather for us on this farm. I guess for our business we have to think about the future and what those external influences are, but we've also got to be conscious of what works for us today and how we're going to manage our own business within the parameters that other people put on it. And for us the herd home fits really well in with that because it's us controlling the bits we can control. So it's a big financial investment for us, but we really feel that it's really worthwhile.
Doing 6 months without a herd home after having one for 7 or 8 years was, a nightmare. And trying to keep the farm simple and a one-person operation. Like, without the herd home, we needed 2 people through the spring, and now with a herd home, it's a one-person operation. So,
previous to owning this farm in our own right, we'd been 50-50 share milking 550 cows on a farm with 3 herd homes, and we moved to this farm and there was no standoff facilities on it. There was admittedly a piece of track that had been widened and there were some water troughs there, so we had some ability to stand cows off. And in the first couple of weeks once we got here, we saw that a lot of the neighbours were standing their cows off on the tank track, on the cowshed yard and races, and we were like, oh wow. And we did that a couple of times and thought, really? Payout had tanked after we got here, and so although there was very little coming in the way of milk payment, we had good dividends, more in dividends really, coming from the share milking job than where we now were. And rather than put that money towards debt repayment, which might have been wise, we put it into a herd home, which we really saw as an opportunity to push ourselves forward. And so
we did look at different options than a herd home, but we'd used a herd home and everything, and we knew where we could make great gains, because doing 70,000 wasn't really going to pay the mortgage. So building a herd home, we could up production, cut feed wastage and everything. Feed is nice and close, so it takes me 15 minutes to load and feed out and go get the cows, and the cows walk up by themselves. I can do other jobs while I can do multiple jobs while the cows are walking up.
And so we'll set a bat latch, one of those automatic gate openers, the night before, and by the time Anthony comes to the cow shed and I'm still tucked up in bed,
I'm crazy and stupid, but I ain't getting up at 3:30 every morning to get the cows in.
I
come at cows come at 3:30. I come here at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the cows are here waiting, ready to do.
We did vaguely look at the options to maybe put in an uncovered concrete feed pad. But at the time we would have had to upgrade our cowshed effluent as well, because that would have generated so much more water to go into that. And so by the time you weigh up all that cost, and then really
the cow effluent is not the biggest problem, it's the rainwater, and with the roof and everything it's easy. And with this, with a herd home, effluent is stored underneath, so you do not need to scrape or anything. So.
And we started to wonder whether even if we spent less money to do the initial thing, whatever it was that we did, that we'd still be thinking, when we have a bit more money, we'd really like to do a herd home.
Yeah.
So that made us think, hey look, we should just bite the bullet and do the herd home the first season
we did it straight away, because we knew the benefits that we would get by having 3 herd homes previous. So we, instead of piss farting around for 3 years, that shall we or not, wait till the payout goes up, we just did it straight away. And now we've made the 3 years benefit if we'd mucked around.
3.5 seasons down the track, we have now cleared that additional bit of money that we borrowed to do that, and now we've just got to work our way through the big chunk of money that we borrowed to buy the farm in the first place.
Not wading around in mud and crap all the time and chasing cows and
we don't worry. You talk to some farmers and they're like, I wasn't sure whether I should stand the cows off tonight, so I waited until about 10 o'clock and then I went out and decided that probably I should have stood them off, so now I'm standing them off. We're very much able to put a routine in place that works for us and the cows, such that through the winter they just stand off every night, and we know that they'll be fine.
Wet or dry, it doesn't really matter, because they've got food here and they prefer. Like, our heifers come home from grazing, and within 2 days they're waiting out the gate after an hour of being in the paddock, wanting to go back to the herd home.
You have trouble getting them out of the herd home rather than in. So No, it works for us really well.
Our somatics for this season has averaged 75 for from the 1st of June, so the last 4.5 months has averaged 75, and at the moment it is between 35 and 50. So somatics is not a problem, and we never have any problem. Like, we have a few cows with mastitis, but we actually find we get more cows with mastitis the longer they're outside. So the more they're in the herd home, we actually get less mastitis.
Oh, that seems
so yeah, having cows in the herd home definitely has no effect on our somatics. Probably actually lowers it. So.
Yeah, and that certainly had been our experience previously at our previous bigger job, that we saw no increase in our somatic cell count as we got the various herd homes came on stream. I guess if you had an issue before, you're probably going to have an issue afterwards, and we didn't have a cell count issue beforehand, and we don't have a cell count issue now having a herd home.
Yeah, and and the cows are actually cleaner. Like, if it's wet and muddy outside, and the cows come in here, well, they're actually cleaner in the herd home than being out in the mud and everything. So, yeah. You're just taking another step to minimise mastitis if the cows are in a warm, dry environment. And the thing is keeping everything dry too, not to overstock your herd home.
Yeah, you can probably, I don't know whether you can see behind us, but the floor at the moment, it's just the start of November in the Waikato, and the floor is really dry. But this is actually typical of how our herd home
even
floor
in the
would
middle
look.
of winter, this was like, and that's having cows in it pretty much 20 hours a day. So it's to keep the floor dry, and the easiest way is a good feed ration and not to overstock it.
Yeah. So with the floor dry, I'm sure that if the floor was wet, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But for us, with the floor dry like this, cell count is really not a concern. Yeah, when you think about it, really, the investment that we've put into having our herd home and what it's given us, we could have gone out and brought a bit of land off the neighbour or added a runoff block to our business, and it would have cost us X amount. But you wouldn't have actually known what we were going to get out of that. You can look at a bit of land and think, I could grow X amount of grass there or what have you. But once you actually end up owning it, you realise that it needs to be re-watered and re-fenced, and there's all these additional costs. But if we take that money and we instead invest it in our business and build a herd home, we really know what we're getting out of that investment in money. There's no maybes, what ifs or additional costs, because the herd home, from the day that you get it available and the builders drive out the gate, and I think we've had times where the builders have been still packing up their gear, and we've had cows coming in at the other farm, and certainly here we were shooing them out to bring cows in. Straight from that day you start to see the benefits. Straight away you've got less wastage of your feed. Straight away your cows are in the shade in the summertime or in here keeping warm on a cold crappy day, and straight away you're seeing it in the vat, and that's where we need to see things to make a difference to our business.
Yeah, and if you went and brought the neighbour like another 30 hectares or something, you're still going to have the problem of mud, effluent wherever, nitrate leaching and all. So yeah, herd home just pays for itself straight away for us.
If we went out now and added X amount of land to our business, we probably would need another part labour unit, and there's a cost in that, and the herd home doesn't add that to our business.